everyone, and welcome back. We are live from Eternal Weekend Prague here with Skura. We're entering number 7 of this round. There's 3 more rounds after this, so 10 rounds total on day 1. Pretty long day. This means that we're going to be moving the top 8 to tomorrow. So if you want to catch the top 8 coverage, it is going to start live on our channel at 11 a.m. local time. So make sure you tune in tomorrow as well. We can take a look at the event prizes. Yeah, you can put the slide back on. A lot of cool prizes at these 2 tournaments. Today, we're covering the Legacy main event, where the top 8 of the event gets the special promo version of Dragon's Rage Channeler, which is a pretty cool card for these Legacy decks that often have all these special versions and all that stuff. But there's also this Force of Will oversized card painting for the first place with special art as well. So that's a very, very cool prize. Obviously, on top of all these prize tickets and other prizes. We're ready with match number 1 for round 7, which is this mono green 12 post deck playing against Reanimator. Philip, what do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, so I really wanted to see the 12 post in action. Triple Primeval Titan deck in Legacy. But I'm actually expecting Dominic to just go ham and just go wild. Even turn 1 Grizzlebrand and show dominance. Because there are very few ways that Lucas could actually interact. There's a single main deck endurance, and basically the list ends there. There could be maybe Caracas is another way, which we do see in hand. So this could actually be surprisingly effective, but the issue is that, for example, doesn't do anything against Archon, doesn't do anything against Grief. Grizzlebrand will draw, a bajillion cards and then get replayed at some point. So I really heavily favor Reanimator, but I don't want to discount Lucas yet.
Okay, so let's take how the decks actually work, right? If you're new to Legacy, Reanimator, that's a fairly easy deck to grasp, right? You're trying to find Fadeless Looting or perhaps Entomb and get your Grizzlebrand or Yona, or whatever big creatures you have, put it into your graveyard and use Reanimate or Exhume to bring it back. You have a lot of hand disruption cards. You have Unmask, you have Grief. I believe there are some copies of Thoughtseize as well in Dominic's deck. And on the other side of the battlefield, we have the 12 post deck. What is this deck trying to do?
Yeah, so we've got a card called Glimmer Post, which is a land locus, and it adds 1 life for each locus you've got on the battlefield as an ETB trigger. And you've got Cloud Post, which enters tapped, and it's 1 mana for each locus in play. So you can amass the number of these locus lands and generate a bajillion mana. This deck in particular has a lot of ways to assemble that. You've got, for example, Once Upon a Time, Crop Rotation. You could Vesuva your Cloud Post to get another copy. And you've got a lot of utility lands. You've got Dark Depths. You've got Bojuka Bog. You've got Drown Yard Temple. You've got Glacial Chasm. And among others. So there is a lot happening here. It immediately draws comparison to Modern Tron and Amulet Titan, something like between these two. And I think it will be interesting to see it in action. But as we're speaking, Dominic, his second turn and still no reanimation, which is something I'm surprised by.
I think he has a lot of ways to reanimate something. But I believe both players mulligan to 5, which certainly makes sense to me because this is a matchup where, as you mentioned, the green deck doesn't have a lot of interaction. So if I'm on the Reanimator side, I'm fine with mulliganing to 4 as long as I find land, Dark Ritual, Entomb, Exhume, or Reanimate. Yeah. That's a winning hand, right? So I don't mind mulliganing too much. Dominic had a pretty reasonable 5-card hand. Lucas as well, but it looks like both players are kind of breaking.
And he unmasks himself.
Wow.
And he says, wait, respond to Reanimate. Wait. And this is going to be Pitch Elvish Simian Spirit Guide to have green. And we will probably have more Bojuka Bog This is unreal. Wow.
Yeah, you must be feeling pretty safe if you're looking at the other side of the battlefield. You
Oh
see two
my
colorless
god.
lands and a Caracas, right? But that's an in-spirit guide for green mana at instant speed, enables the crop rotation, gets Lucas the Bajuka Bog, and Dominic ends up with an
Wow.
exiled graveyard. And I believe no cards in hand as well, because as you mentioned, he used that unmask on himself to try to discard an
Yeah,
Archon. Wow. So
exactly.
Dominic down to 2 lands and nothing else. No
Wow.
hand, no graveyard. Wow.
The One Ring. Dominic has nothing, so he first needs to discard, have a creature, have a way to discard it, and then have a way to reanimate it. And that's all why Lucas is already drawing cards. Glacial Chasm on the battlefield, which says creatures you control can attack, prevent on damage.
I think that's a Dark Depths.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I think
okay, because of counters. Okay.
He might be able to get the Dark Depth stage combo next turn and just casually win off of his mulligan to 5 in a deck that does not interact all that much. Although having crop rotation as a way to remove the graveyard at instant speed, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he's very much ahead. And also, I mean, don't discount Dark Depth's manual activation. Just remove like 2 counters, 3 counters, 3 counters, and you'll just get there with this deck.
If one deck can do it in the format, it's probably this one. You tend to have a lot of mana from your cloud posts.
Exactly. So there was a joke in chat, but I really want to ask you about this. So we've got Elvish and Simian Spirit Guide. What do you think about adding more guides to Magic? Merfolk Spirit Guide, Vampire Spirit Guide.
Yeah, that certainly cannot go wrong. We need we need one that gives blue mana at instant speed. We need one that gives black mana. Yeah, that certainly cannot go wrong. That would be perfect for modern. We need more pitch cards. We need more free cards. Yeah, that certainly wouldn't have a possibility of going terribly wrong.
You would just go pitch Vampire Spirit Guide, Dark Ritual, Doomsday.
Yeah.
Without any lands. Whoa. Can't see any issues with that.
There it is. So Lucas actually does find the Despin stage, copies the Dark Depths. There are 2 copies of Dark Depths. Chooses Legend Rule 1, keeps 1. It has no counter, so he makes a 2020 token. And I think Dominic is just gonna look at the top card and just scoops the game on the spot. So yeah, I think that was kind of unlikely turn of events.
Yeah.
I was thinking that was a pretty good opening hand for Dominic, despite not having a creature. But yeah, he kind of just found it a little bit too late, and Lucas was ready with the Bajuka Bog at instant speed, which was absolutely brutal because it was hidden thanks to not having green mana. Looking at the sideboard here, what would you bring in?
If I were 12 posts, it's kind of difficult to make a good choice here because everything is kind of lackluster. Maybe Veils to prevent some counter interaction, but other than that, it doesn't inspire much confidence. I think as mono green post, I just want to mulligan to a hand that has endurance / crop rotation and just go from that point. Because then, you've got this Bajuka Bog that's super difficult to play around. Yeah, I think Carpet of Flowers does nothing. Dismember does nothing. Force of Vigor doesn't seem to be very effective. You could destroy it, animate dead, but the opponent will still have like Grizzlebrand draws, so that doesn't help.
That doesn't seem too relevant. I mean, Veil of Summer has to be coming in against a deck that has Thoughtseize Grief, Unmask, right?
Exactly.
It protects you from that. So those are coming in. What about the Reanimator deck? So what are you afraid of? As we just saw, crop rotation at instant speed equals you having no graveyard. So I think now we're gonna see Dominic kind of looking for a discard spell before he starts going off with his reanimation package. What else do you think might be coming in from the sideboard?
Yeah, so the natural inclination would be to side in show and tell because your opponent very heavily disrupts the graveyard and has multiple ways of doing so. However, I think this could end really badly if you show and tell and your opponent puts Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, into play. So you really have to be careful with these show and tells against a ramp deck. So I think you just have to just approach it much more slowly. Like, for example, use Reanimate to force a Bajuka Bog. There are no more bogs then, and then just go again. But in order to achieve it, you'd have to just keep a 7-card hand to have the raw quantity of cards to overload it. So this might be the idea, actually. Just play through it.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Let's
Yeah.
say you are Lucas. Oh no, let's say you are Dominic. You are sitting there. Do you bring in the show and tell or not?
I don't. No.
I think I would probably bring it in because you have so much discard in your deck that you can take a look at their hand first, right? Like you can even if they do draw their Ulamog, even if they do draw their Emrakul or Primeval Titan, my deck has 10 discard spells. I should be able to try to find a way to get it from their hand, right?
That is a fair point. That is a fair point. But then you're adding one more piece that you need to do the thing. So it might be, I mean, it's just a different approach then, right? Because then you're focused more on discard, where in my approach, you're more focused on trying to force through your plan. So this affects, for example, your faithless looting decisions. Maybe there is a way to split the difference. For example, you side in show and tell, let's say 2 copies. You play the first discard spell. You see that they have a bunch of payoffs. And so you just never play show and tell discard to faithless looting later. Just kind of hedge and kind of play both plans at the same time, maybe. So yeah, that's certainly interesting. Certainly interesting. I can see 6 cards from Dominic, right? It's Lotus Petal, Entomb, Unmask, Exhume. So it's basically everything you need.
Yeah, I think both players are aggressively mulliganing again. Lucas has that corrupt rotation. I don't think he has green mana. I think there is a Boseiju. Oh, that's a multi 5 actually. Interesting. So Lucas banking on the fact that he does have the corrupt rotation. Perhaps he did mulligan aggressively for that. But Dominic learned his lesson and he starts the game with Unmask, targeting Lucas this time, not himself.
Yeah. And so let's take a look at this hand. So we see Boseiju, Cloudpost, Caracas, Crop Rotation, the One Ring. Decent hand. Caracas is Disruption. Boseiju enables Crop Rotation. And you can play Boseiju turn 1 and just keep holding up Crop Rot while making land drops. So I think Dominic takes Crop Rot here.
Yeah, and leaves Lucas with 3 lands and a 4 mana card. So that's certainly not a great hand. And Dominic does have an Entomb, Lotus Petal. Is that a Reanimate? Is that the actual best possible hand there?
I think it is. Yeah, it's Entomb Exhume. It's literally Entomb Exhume. So it's going to be end step Entomb, untap Exhume.
I really like how much redundancy the Reanimator deck has, and all the extra discard spells that you can use the redundant pieces to fuel your Unmask, your Grief, and cast those discard spells for free to kind of clear the way for your combo finish, or reanimation rather.
These are these situations when you play against Reanimator and you feel like you just couldn't possibly have done anything about it, when they have literally discard into turn 2 payoff. It's just so difficult. And again, let's remember, Dominic was on a mulligan. Wait. Actually, if Dominic had a, let's say, Grizzlebrand in hand, he could have turn 1 reanimated because he could have unmasked himself and exhumed. So hypothetically, yeah, that was pretty close to a turn 1 thingy.
Now he's considering which creature to get with his Entomb. There are some options. He can go for Yona. He can find Grizzlebrand, which is the normal target that you usually go for. There's also Archon of Cruelty.
Wait. Because if you find Iona or Serra Emissary, that walks straight into the Caracas, right?
I believe there was one in Lucas's hand, yeah.
Oh, Serra Emissary, I think, can name land. So you would have protection.
Okay, let's see what...
Oh, Serra's Emissary isn't legendary. Okay, so sorry. Serra's Emissary isn't legendary.
Once Upon a Time, okay, first spell cast of the game for Lucas.
Okay, Lucas just it just says, okay, I'll take this. I'll take Cloudpost.
What do you name with Emissary there if you're Dominic? Like, what kind of spells are you afraid of, or what kind of cards are you afraid of from the 12 bows deck, which is typically not going to play too many removal spells? Like, what would you be afraid of?
I don't want to say anything, but it doesn't seem like maybe creature, but it's really difficult actually because Lucas won't interact with you that much. Now we see the One Ring come down, give protection.
So the ring here buys Lucas at least one extra turn by giving him the protection. I think there was another copy of the One Ring in Lucas's hand, so he can kind of use those as time walks. I think that might have been a third one. In the meantime, he's going to be able to play all these cloud posts, get extra mana. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's one more ring in Lucas's hand. So
okay, so can you walk us through what happened there? Because we played the One Ring and immediately put it into the graveyard.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, so Lucas played a new ring, which normally you typically reset the old one. You have to legend rule one away. Lucas decided to keep the one that already had the 2 counters there and put the new one in the graveyard. So he did get the trigger from it.
Yeah,
looks
exactly.
like he is prioritizing drawing more cards off of the ring that was already in play.
I thought Lucas can actually pull through, but this Magus might just be a bit too much. Because without that Magus, I think Lucas could actually go off with Ulamog or Emrakul. And there is a question whether there is Sire of Insanity in Reanimator, but I can tell you that there is not.
That is a card that typically is at least one copy in most sideboards, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we see the One Ring, gain protection, pass the turn, then draw 4. How many Boseijus have we got access to? We've got Boseijus. 2 copies. Okay, lose 3, down to 9.
Is that the 4th ring? Certainly looked like one.
I mean, that's fine, because you get protection again, go down to 5 on upkeep, then draw more cards again. Okay, 4 mana being tapped. And